Is there any question? Okay. So if people gonna trickle in, I'm gonna start. There's another person. So when you're coming in, I'm just gonna ask you to mute yourself. So Katya, yeah. All right. So let me share my presentation. Oh wait, no, that's not how you do it. Slideshow. Okay. So, oh, wait, yeah. So, but when you come in and just mute yourself so you can, yeah, sounds good. So, okay, so today's presentation is about, my main topics, what I would like to talk about are relationships. And I thought I'll do this presentation of what you can do when your partner doesn't want to change. Because I hear this a lot as a kind of request from people to talk about. But first, let me just introduce you if you haven't met me, so we can meet. So my name is Irina Aronov. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I also do relationship coaching and mentoring. And I'm currently developing my own relationship programs that I'm super excited about. So for my own kind of piece of a personal journey, I have been in a relationship with my husband for 11 years, and we've been married for 7.5, 2 kids. And a couple weeks ago, I went online and I shared my personal story, which was super vulnerable on Facebook. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can check it out. But I basically shared that 11 years ago, or maybe more like 13 years ago, I wasn't able to have a relationship. I was just so defended. Like my relationship skills were like non-existent. I was so bad in relationships that I had intimacy problems. I couldn't like really be intimate, like really close, vulnerable with people. A lot of times I ghosted people. I mean, when I reflected on now, I was like, wow, that was kind of like a different person. And now I'm in such a beautiful place with my relationships, in my intimate relationship with my friends, that it's like a sign that anybody, I believe, if I could do it, you can do it. Because how I was in relationships was pretty terrible, and I have zero communication skills. I couldn't communicate honestly, and it feels very different now. So I just want to inspire for people who do. Sometimes people say like, well, I'm just not good about relationships. It's so painful. And I always say like, yeah, I get it. It was super painful for me. I really couldn't do it. It was just really like unknown territory, but you can learn skills and really learn relationship skills and learn how to connect and change this area of your life for sure, because I've done it. And let me see. Next slide. Okay. So why am I doing this presentation on this topic? Because as a psychotherapist and relationship mentor, I hear this a lot. So a person comes in, usually it's a woman, but sometimes it's a man as well. I work with a lot of men actually. And they just say, I want to have a different relationship. I want to have more love, more connection, more passion, more depth, intimacy. I want to have more emotional connection, but my partner doesn't want to change. And it makes a person who wants to change feels really stuck, really helpless, and kind of powerless, because we feel like, well, I want all of those things, but my partner doesn't. So it just really makes me feel kind of hopeless. And people spend years in that place. I mean, like really years of their life are spent in this like stuck, helpless, like defeated place of I can't have what I want because my partner doesn't want to change. And they experience a lot of criticism and judgment from each other. So it's like the relationships that I really see sort of like normal relationship, or the majority of around, it's very, it's not the relationship that I would want to have, because it's a lot of, sometimes it's like surface level connection, it's like that connection that kind of like a roommate's connection, like you get along with your partner, maybe you have kids, but you're more like partners, and then you don't have that like juicy passion in the bedroom, for example. So that's one version of what I see a lot. For other people, they're just really bickering and like critical and judgmental of each other, and they don't experience this like love, heart opening love and intimacy and emotional connection that, for example, I want to experience in my relationship. And not feeling love, that's another one that people experience. Well, I just don't feel love, or my partner is really angry and explosive around me and around the kids, but I just feel like I'm stuck. I can't do anything. They need to change, but they're not changing. So what can I do? And they're feeling really trapped, especially if you have kids. And I have kids, and I can understand that, I don't know. I feel like once you have kids, your stakes for relationship to work out are higher. For me, I don't know. I feel like if I don't have kids, it's like easier for me to separate. But once you do have kids, it feels like a little different, or a lot different. So my idea is, life is too short to spend your life in an unfulfilled relationship. And just, it's like when you get old or close to dying and you look back on this time of your life, I want to really, really see that I had a great relationship that I was happy with. And if you are in a relationship with the partner doesn't want to change, this is the presentation for you to feel like you are actually much more empowered to I know that you might feel like there's nothing you can do, and I would invite you to consider that it might not be the case. It might be like a limiting belief or a limiting story that you have right now. And I would love to offer you a different perspective, to offer you more freedom and inspiration and empowerment for you to know that you can create the relationship that you want. So this is what you will receive in this class. Well, permission to long for love that you want. A lot of us don't even feel like we have that permission, that we even allowed to want it, to want that. Let me just see. Okay, I'm just gonna mute. Masha, can you mute? Yeah, I muted you. Okay. So a lot of us don't feel like we have permission to long for love that we want. So a lot of us, it's like, well, what I have a partner, and they're loving, but deep inside we want more. We want so much more, but we block our desires and we don't give ourselves permission to really long for what we want. And I see it a lot. We just kind of cut off, or maybe I know because I've experienced, it's like you cut on your own desire. You say, well, I want, deep inside you want more love or passion, which I feel like sexuality is such a big piece of relationships. So sometimes you like want to have this like passionate sex, intimacy, love, but you don't feel like you deserve it or you have a right to ask for it. And this is what I want to give you in this class, that you absolutely have a right to first want it, but also deserve and receive it and feel worthy of it. And I want you to feel after this class, that you maybe a little bit feel like you can change your relationship, even if your partners want change. So if you, maybe your sense after this class will increase by 10% that you can change something, then I'm happy. And then there's going to be a step-by-step guide to inner work that you need to do to change your relationship. And I want to give you hope. I want you to know that this is possible. You can create more love, connection, intimacy, depth, and passion in your relationship. Absolutely. It's possible. It's possible, I know, to have that relationship of your dreams. And you can you can create it. I don't know if you can create, it's not going to be like magic wand that I'm going to give you, because there's going to be a lot of work involved. But if you do this work, it's possible. Okay. Your relationship is a mirror, is your mirror. Not my, not my, I was gonna say it wasn't me who came up with this idea. And you can see two quotes I put here. One is from Krishnamurti. So this is more like we're leaning into that consciousness expansion, consciousness development area. And Krishnamurti said, relationship is a mirror in which you can see yourself, not as you would wish to be, but as you are. Such a beautiful quote. Basically saying that relationship is a mirror of us. And a lot of parts of us that we don't want to see and we wish we didn't have, the relationship is going to mirror it to us. And another quote I have by Rajneesh, who's also known as Osho, he said, relationship is a mirror. Every moment the other reveals you, exposes you. The closer the relationship, the clearer is the mirror, which means that our intimate partner relationship is going to be the clearest mirror of all. It's going to reflect so much about ourselves. And this is what I truly believe, and this is what I experienced, is that our inner world creates the outer world, and that our relationship is really our reflection. It's our, I call it also energetic match, but it basically means that it's going to reflect to us parts of ourselves. Like, for example, if we don't accept or judge parts of ourselves, we will reject and judge it in the other. So example of this, just to help to gear it, I know it's a little bit, sometimes it's like I talk about these ideas and they seem like maybe it's too far out there. So I really want to ground it and make it really practical. But for example, you can think right now about one feature or one thing or a quality that your partner has that you just, oh, it just drives you nuts. You judge it so much. And so name that quality in your mind or write it down. I know for some people, it's like being selfish. Like I work with some couples and one person is like, oh, I can't stand my partner, is so selfish. And now consider that this is about you, that you have a selfish part that you don't accept in yourself. And sometimes it's really like, we don't want to hear it, right? Like we just don't want to admit it, but it's true. And it's a hard truth. But if if there's no like shame around it, we all have all different qualities. Every quality that exists, we have a loving, caretaking, selfless part, and we have a selfish part. And the journey of this life, I believe, is to claim all of those parts and really claim our wholeness, become whole. And relationship is such a beautiful ally on our journey to wholeness, because relationship is going to reflect everything you don't accept about yourself. So anything you judge or reject in the other person is going to be, it's like your part is calling you home. It's like your part is calling you home. I discovered such beautiful parts through this process, just realizing that any relationship I have is my mirror, and what I judge in that person is about me. I discovered like powerful self. For example, I used to really judge like very strong, kind of controlling people, you know, like I'm more like soft spoken, and I used to be like very gentle. And I would always it's actually both ways. You either really judge or reject that part in the other person, or you admire and put it on a pedestal. So whatever you either admire or reject is basically you. So I used to admire really powerful people. Well, I used to get really triggered by them, but secretly admired. And then I realized that powerful self power is actually me. It's my power that I disown, that I suppress because I wasn't allowed to be powerful when I was a kid. And I said no, and I did the work to reclaim it. So I claimed that part of myself, and I took it in, I owned it, and now I have access to that power of me. And examples of this are like countless. I can give you countless examples, but if you like, just this example is in my mind about the couple I work with, and they have this, her husband was really judging his wife because she was so selfish. And I gave him an assignment. It was like, your assignment is to claim your selfish part. But selfish part is really the part of us who takes care of ourselves first. And when he claimed it, he wasn't judging his wife anymore. The judgment just released, the criticism released, and they were able to, have more connection because there was no this harsh judgment in a way. And criticism, judgment, and blame are three, romance killers, because nothing kills love or romance or passion more than criticism. And that's one thing you can for sure take away from this class, that if you yourself gonna work on becoming less critical in your relationship, there's already going to be so much more space. And of course, it's hard when the other person doesn't want to change. The hardest thing is to release the blame, that finger, you need to change. That's the hardest thing, is to turn it onto yourself and say, okay, you don't want to change. It's okay. I'm going to change. So I'm going to change. And it's the hardest. It's very hard. Like, I get it. Like, it's hard because it doesn't feel fair. It doesn't feel fair. Like, why do I need to, I'm going to do all this work on myself, but for a relationship and you're not going to change? It's like, ugh. But we need to realize that we're doing it for ourselves. So once we realize we're doing it for ourselves, then maybe it's easier to just realize, yeah, we're doing this work for ourselves, and relationship's going to benefit and it's going to change, and the partner is going to change, but it's not why we do it. We really need to do it for ourselves. Okay, so now I'm gonna have, I think I have like 5 steps in things you can, it's the more practical, concrete steps, but they do require sort of like this inner work. But they can give you some guidance on what you can start thinking about in your own process. Like, what step can you take away? You can take away just one step from this presentation, and it can really change your relationship. Step 1 in changing your relationship is worthiness. So unless we feel like we are worthy to desire a relationship of our dreams, we're not gonna even it's not gonna be even a possibility. Because if we feel like we're not worth, okay, I think Alex joined, so you can mute yourself when you come in. Thank you. So if you if you don't feel worthy of receiving a relationship of your dreams, you're just gonna block it. Like you're always gonna choose a relationship that is what you feel you're worthy of, which is if you don't feel like you're worthy of love, if you don't feel like worthy, and that's like such a deep core wound. So I'm kind of going straight to the core here, but I hope that if you know that you have this, it's gonna just resonate. That when we don't feel worthy of love, there's no opportunity for us to receive it, because there's no place in us that can take it in. So when I felt really unworthy of love, no matter how much my husband could give love to me, there was no place in me that could receive it, because there was no place in me that felt worthy of that love. And so I blocked it. I blocked the receiving it, and I always felt unloved. And we do this a lot. We sometimes, our partner can give us what we really desire deep inside, but we will block it because we don't feel worthy of it. We won't even perceive that that's possible. We filter it out. It's like we have this filter of filtering out anything that we don't feel worthy of. So this is such a core piece, really, to feel like you're worthy of love, of relationship of your dreams, of sex, passionate sex, of basically anything that you want, that you desire, you're worthy of. Like I know, I want deep intimacy and connection. That's like, I love that deep looking into the eyes and really feeling like our souls are, our souls are present. I love that. And it's a very deep desire. So if I don't feel worthy of that, I will never have it. I will always block it out. So the first step is for me to realize that I am worthy of it, and also to claim it, to claim my desire. So worthiness is a big piece, and it's, like I said, it's kind of, I'm going straight to the core here. And if you feel the resonance, I want you to know that everybody in this planet, every single person is worthy to have what they want in a relationship. Absolutely. That's absolutely my belief and knowing. And then once you feel worthy, that's kind of I put like a step number 2 here. You can start thinking, okay, if I could have it all my way, so let's kind of go into this process a little bit here. In this, I'm guiding you in this process of, okay, if you could have anything you want in your relationship, let's create that vision for you. What do you really want? Because you can have anything. You're worthy of everything, anything. So what do you really desire? And that's a moment where I want you to go inside and either feel or sense or like see, like, what do you want to create in your relationship? What do you want to have in your relationship? If you have a journal, you can write down a few thoughts. If you could have it all your way, my relationship would be ... What would it be for you? Would it be more depth, more love, more sex, more intimacy, more talks, more excitement, more adventures? Feel free to really go into imagination here. Imagine how it feels. So you can close your eyes and imagine that. Or you can sense, visualize, or feel. I'm just imagining me and my husband having a lot of adventures and just having lots of fun, and love and sex, of course. That's of course, that's given, right? And have lots of passion and just have this like energetic connection that I love, and looking into each other's eyes and really feeling that depth of intimacy. That's my thing. So what it is, what is it for you? Really connect to your heart here. Hmm. Yeah, I'm noticing for me, it's also like commitment is really important. Like when we're committed to each other, it's really knowing that we are committed. That's important for me. So I hope you found some piece of that. And if not, then, or if you need more time, then after the class, you can stay in the kind of energy of it and really visualize the love that you want, that relationship that you want. My hope is you got like a little taste of it, a little connection to it. So step 3, so once you realize that you are worthy to have a relationship of your dreams, to have anything you ever wanted in your relationship, and you created a vision, step 3, I put it loosely, like those steps can not necessarily go in this order, but you need to open to possibility of it happening. And that's where mindset work and empowerment work comes in, because a lot of times when I do this envisioning exercise, this like, well, let's visualize and imagine the relationship that you would want, people right away say, but it's not possible. And that just shuts down the desire, right? And the dream. That's kind of like the negative Nancy in our brain that's very realistic and practical and shuts down our desire right away. So it's like, well, you know, my partner will never agree to this. My partner will never, he'll never become what I need, I want in a relationship. Oh, it's not possible in my relationship. So if you had this, again, you can like jot that down, or notice, bringing awareness. I always say awareness is the first step. So noticing, okay, oh, it's not possible. Oh, it won't happen. Oh, it's not for me. Oh, yeah, it's so again, this is that mindset piece of negative beliefs, a lot of limiting beliefs that we have about what's possible, what's not possible. Because really anything is possible. If you I really anything can happen and anything is possible. Not everything is possible, but anything is possible, meaning that before the reality is materialized, there's all this infinite opportunities and possibilities. So unless we are open to it, it's really hard to envision and create change in our life if we don't believe in it. We're really, at least some part of you need to believe in it. Otherwise, it's really hard to change. And, you know, there's this book on growth versus fixed mindset. And basically, fixed mindset says, yeah, it is what it is. It's not going to change. And growth mindset is that things can change and people do change, and there's all this new skills we can learn, and there's all these new shifts we can have in a relationship. So and you can choose, well, if there's awareness, you can choose. I used to have really fixed mindset. Oh my god. Oh, so painful, because I would be like, nope, not possible. Not possible, not for me, not gonna happen. And the changes then that I've created with a growth mindset, it's like, whoa, that's like, whoa. amazing, amazing. So much, so many possibilities open up. And you are 50% of your relationship. So that's a lot of percentage. That's a lot of power that you have. So again, well, I don't know if I mentioned this in class, but in this class, but I always often talk about how we create this energetic field with our partner, meaning, you know, our two energies kind of meet and create this relationship energy. And then when you change the relationship energy or relationship dynamic patterns, how you want to call it, but it's basically what's created between the two of you, that will change. And then in that turn, your partner will also experience change because he's connected to that relationship. Since you're changing, it's changing the relationship, and then he will also experience some changes, or she. So you do have power to influence your relationship. And I remember a few years ago, I felt I was in a really disempowered place at that time, and it just felt like I couldn't do anything. Like this relationship, I'm not happy in my relationship. I don't feel as much love as I would want to, but I can't change it. And I was in that stuck place. And I remember this. I don't remember. It was like a coach who she was telling me, "You have so much power in this relationship," and I was like, "I do." You know, I was like, what? No, I don't feel that. And she was like, yeah, you do. So, you know, if you're in that place where it's news to you, I hope, you know, I hope you can just hear it, because it took me some time to even believe it or open up to the possibility that I have power to influence my relationship, because I just didn't feel it. And at that time I couldn't even like take it in, you know. She said it and I was like, no, I don't, you don't know my husband, you know. But I realized that's a limiting belief and the disempowered place that I was. So it doesn't matter what your kind of relationship dynamic is, you do have a lot of influence and power to influence your relationship, and yeah. And of course you cannot control the outcome. So that's the thing, that you can't really like say, okay, I want my partner to be this way, so I'm gonna change so they will become this way. No, it's not gonna work, and it's not genuine, and it's basically like controlling the outcome. But you can start the process of change, and you can affect the change. So you can change how you feel in a relationship, basically. So you can necessarily, and your partner might also change, but it's not like it's guaranteed that they will become how you want them to be. Because this process is not about like controlling them. It's about you coming to yourself, doing your inner work, so you change how you feel about yourself. And in turn, the relationship is gonna change to reflect that inner change. So this is what this work is really about. So once we say we feel worthy, right? We feel worthy of a relationship, of our dreams. We create this vision. That's how I wanted to feel. That's how I wanted to really, really, for me to experience. And then we changed our mindset, we opened up to possibilities, and we claim that we own that power to create the relationship that we want. So then the next step, which is counterintuitive, but it's acceptance. And the curious thing about acceptance is that it's the prerequisite for change. In psychology, we call it the paradox of change. To change, we need to accept what is. Carl Rogers said that the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. And it's really about the relationship also, or your partner. when I accept my relationship just as it is, then it can change. When I accept my partner just as he or she is, then he or she can change. And we kind of know it. I feel like we all experienced it. Like if you like wanna fix it and we resist something, we really like don't like fighting it. And we want to really change it, but we changing it for a place of this like non-acceptance and pushing it. It's actually the persists more. The more you resist something, the more you draw it to you. So again, it's one of those kind of energetic things I play with, but it's, the as soon as I want to change my husband, he feels that and he like gets defensive, right? Because when we want to change someone, the other person experiences it as actually violence. It's like this, like, oh, I don't know if you have experienced it on your part, but when someone wants to change me, it's like, oh, that doesn't feel good at all. I'm never gonna change if you want to change me, because you're not. It's like feels like there's something wrong with me, and I need to change it. So that's the counterintuitive and interesting piece, is that the more we move into this place of acceptance of ourselves, our relationship, our partner, the way they are, there's more and more space for it to actually change. If we come from a place of love and acceptance, there are more changes for things to change. And it's very interesting paradox. And again, acceptance doesn't mean like liking or not, disliking. Also, that's another confusion that people have, is like, well, if I accept it, doesn't mean I have to like it and deal with it and, kind of like give up on it. And no, it's not. There are different processes. So it's like, I might still not like, so there's a recent example in my own processes that, for example, I have a part of me that's kind of sometimes is cold, right? And can be very harsh. And if I try to really shut it down and like, oh, I don't like this part, judge it, right? Like judge it, feel bad about it. There's no way it can change, because it's already kind of like suppressed and pushed away. But when I accept it, I might still not like that I sometimes am harsh and hurt others. I still don't like that, but there's more awareness for me to work with that part now, because I accept it. And acceptance means awareness. Acceptance means consciousness. Acceptance means basically being with, instead of like pushing away and feeling bad about it and suppressing it. So that's a huge game changer, acceptance. And when couples move into this place, it's such a beautiful process. But you can also just do it on your part. It's like the softening of the field and the relaxing of sometimes this like tension of this like fighting. And it's just like, it just feels like exhale. And people sometimes ask about like, well, how do I do it? How do I accept? And honestly, I thought about this for this class, and I thought like, oh, it's probably, so the answer I have right now might not be the perfect answer, might not be the answer that I have tomorrow, but it feels to me like acceptance is more connected to our feminine energy. So it's like this, like being, leaning back, surrendering, letting go of control. It's like the more we want to control the other person and really fix them, that's more, doing. So masculine energy, but this feminine energy is like, yeah, this love, openness, spaciousness. So seems to me like when you connect more to that place, it's easier to accept also. But I don't know, I'll be curious to hear what you guys think, if you play with that, with this part, with this acceptance and how it feels. I hope I'm giving you a sense of how it feels just now talking about it, sort of translating that state of acceptance. So like, yeah, I see how it is now, and yeah, it's here. And let's see what time it is. Okay, we're doing great on time. I'm almost done with my presentation, and if there are questions or comments, I'm happy to hear that now. So another, I think I already mentioned this, but there's this law of energetic polarity in relationships, where people tend to polarize. It's like this magnet, right? The two poles, two people in relationship, and we tend to polarize between ourselves. It's that duality of the world, and everything has a flip side. But this law of energetic polarity basically says that in relationship we tend to polarize, and you might have experienced this with like opposites, opposites attract. So when I Googled, so I was preparing for this class and I Googled this law of energetic polarity. I guess I wasn't the first one. I'm not the one who came up with it, but I do see it in relationships, and I kind of see things kind of energetically in relationships. And I found a lot of information about how if you wanna attract more, say, feminine women, you kind of turn on your masculine. So there's a lot of talk about this polarity in terms of feminine and masculine energies and playing with those energies, which I found really interesting. And I do also feel like when, like say in my relationship, when I kind of turn up my feminine side, it creates this beautiful chemistry. It's important feels like it's important for sexual chemistry, like passion. The more one person, I guess it can be gender, whoever, as people can choose depending on the gender what they want to play with. So the one person becomes more sort of dominating, and the other person becomes more submissive, and they tend to like a magnet, like, there's this fire spark between them. So that's how lore of energetic polarity normally is talked about when it's like sometimes a woman wants to meet a very masculine man, but she has a lot of, like, say, masculine energy, and then she would tend to attract a feminine man. And again, if you have a lot of those, like, how a lot of women sometimes they're like mothering their husbands, like mothering, but mothering in a very active, controlling way, and then kind of pulls the partner into the child. So that's another polarity, that's like mother-child or father-child. When one person becomes really like mothering and caretaking, then by this law of energetic polarity, the other person's kind of pulled into the child role. And vice versa, if the one partner becomes very like, oh, I'm unsure, loses their power in a relationship, become kind of childlike, then the other person is pulled into this parent role. And there's a number of problems with that. Not a good situation, because sexuality cannot survive in that dynamic, because we're not allowed, like incest is prohibited. So if you can energetically pulled in those like parent-child roles, it kills your sex life. So not a good situation if you in that role. Definitely if you want to bring your sex back, then it needs to be addressed. But it's basically works for everything, every quality. So for example, again, when we're talking about, I put some examples of this polarity of if one person is really selfless and caretaking and doing everything, then by this law of energetic polarity, the other person is kind of pushed into the selfish role to balance the relationship, because our systems and relationships, they always want to find balance, and balance is being owning both sides of the coin. So if we have one partner who's very active and doing and constantly on the move, then the other partner might feel like kind of being pulled to balance that by being more slow and being. And another common example is like, say, one partner is like sexless, not interested in sex. For example, they are disowning their sexual energy. And actually that did happen in my relationship. To tell you a secret, when I was disowning my own sexual energy, my partner became kind of like obsessed with sex, because and I wasn't realizing that at the time. But when I did my own work on owning my sexual energy, becoming more sexual, he then lost most of his interest, because the system was rebalancing. It's quite amazing to watch when it happens, because you can literally see the system is rebalancing and both partners are changing, and they coming more towards the beautiful balance. And another common is like bully victims. So if we have a partner who's more like aggressive and angry and has more like, I guess, angry side, then the other person might be pulled into this like victim stance and into this like collapsed kind of like this, fearful of aggression. So that's another kind of polarization can happen. So by changing yourself, your partner will energetically be pulled to change. But no, I don't want to, that's my kind of fear with this, is that people are going to try to like, oh, so I can change my partner now, so I'm going to use this, this principle to kind of change them. But I would not advise. I mean, it might work, but to me, that's not the point of this work. To me, the point of this work is really claiming our different qualities and different parts, and becoming more whole in the process. And as a result of this, your partner will also be affected, because you form an energetic field with your partner, and it's just not possible that you change. It's not possible that your partner won't be affected, but they might block the change. It is possible they do have that choice, that they will say absolutely not, that I don't want to change, and they'll block that. But they energetically and unconsciously, they will be kind of pulled to change when you change. Okay. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation, and we are at 50 minutes, so I'm doing great with class, or with time. And I love meeting new people and talking to them and meeting new people more face to face. So it's a little, this presentations are always a little hard for me, because I don't see you, and I don't receive a lot of feedback or how it landed for you. I would love to, if you now can able to write some comments or say something, I'm welcome to that, because I love receiving feedback. But I do have a gift for you if you listen to this presentation, is that you can book a 30-minute session with me, so we can go deeper into this. And I'm going to put it in the chat, but it's basically my website.com/contact, and you can schedule a free 30-minute session. So we can kind of take this deeper for your specific case, so we can really see how this can be applied for your specific case, because I do realize that when I present it, it's like sort of very general, and it's sometimes people have trouble integrating it into their lives, and I do want to help you with that, and I'm happy to spend 30 minutes with you to help you with that. And for me, it's just a fun, I love meeting, connecting to my people and telling them about my work. So it works great for me as well. So definitely would love that if you do that. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Let's see. I'll stop share. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the chat so you can do that. And boom, boom, boom. Okay, and I will also send the recording to those who are interested. Or just send me a message on Facebook if you want to see a recording. I'm gonna stop the recording now.